Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 12 on DraftKings. The week that would never end. The Thanksgiving game that became a main slate game, that became a Tuesday night game, that is now a Wednesday afternoon delight. The Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Baltimore Ravens, the infected Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to do my best to break this game down for you on this video. There is a lot up in the air. There are things that we thought we knew before that we don't know now. The Steelers are mostly clear. The Ravens are completely up in the air. Some guys that we had before that were not going to be in when this game was going to be played on Thanksgiving or Sunday are now completely viable for this game. The running backs mostly, J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram. So those who are riding the Gus bus and picking him up in their season long, their friends and family leagues, or their high stakes leagues in the hopes that he was going to be the guy, you just kind of might have wasted a waiver pick and now you're left with nothing else and you can do. But we're not really concerned with your season long leagues. We're only concerned with daily fantasy and the single game showdown slate that we have here. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to do the best that I can. Allow me a little bit of leeway, as everything can change from the time that I'm recording this until the game kicks off, hopefully on Wednesday afternoon. So at least set up your if-then statements and be ready to pivot and do what you have to do. The total on this game is going to move all over the place because of everybody that's out and everybody who's now in. And the Steelers are an extremely tough defense to deal with, and this could just turn into a complete blowout, considering that the Ravens have not had a competitive practice in about a week. So we're going to see what happens. They've postponed it till Wednesday to give them that one time, and then it got pushed from a night game. It was supposed to be a Wednesday night game. Now it's an afternoon game because they got to light the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center. This is a complete mess, but at least they're trying to get the game in. We'll see what happens moving forward. It might be 3 games on the following Monday, Tuesday night. So a 3-game, 2-day slate as a result of this game getting moved back 6 days from its intended kickoff time. But here we are. Thank you for watching the video once again. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a reply, ring the notifications bell, and if you do want to, you can hit that join button, become a channel member here on YouTube, and then use the link down below in the description to join our Discord server. Almost 5,000 strong in the Smiz Life Discord right now. And there are sub-only channels if you are sub to Twitch, or if you're a YouTube channel member for that $5 a month. The biggest value add that I can give you is the community that we've built over in Discord. That is how you're going to become a better player, is to surround yourself with other like-minded individuals just like you, who are trying every single day to improve their daily fantasy game and become more profitable players over time and make better decisions on a slate-by-slate basis so that they can become better players over time. All of that being said, world's longest intros. Let's get to what's remaining on this slate. So here's what's left on the COVID-19 reserve list and the dates that it happened. This is from the Baltimore News. So before we can even get to the salaries, I have to tell you about this. So Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Brandon Williams reported on Monday, November 23rd. Now it was reported today that Ingram and Dobbins should be eligible to play in this game, but Pernell McPhee, Calais Campbell, McRae, Skura, Ward, Lamar Jackson, the most impactful one on this slate for the Ravens offense, Ricard, Cox, Ferguson, Fluker, Holden, Broderick Washington, Tavon Young, Khalil Dorsey. Sunday, Willie Snead, Mark Andrews came down with it, tested positive for it. Matthew Judon. This is what we have left. So if you look at the Ravens roster that they have offensively, Lamar Jackson out. Bob Griffin III is in as their starting quarterback on this slate. Yikes. Big yikes. 8,400 in the flex. You're going to get a value if you put him in at captain, or not a value. You're going to get a discount if you put him in at captain off the 4,000 more, essentially, to have gotten up to Lamar Jackson. So I think that you're going to be able to fit whatever it is that you want to fit. J.K. Dobbins still on the list, but I believe that he's going to be cleared to be able to play. Mark Andrews, don't think he's going to be cleared for this game, which leaves a vacuum, especially because of the injury to Boyle. And now we've got some extreme value at tight end in the case, and I believe that will be the case, that Mark Andrews will not go in this game. So now we have a $300 Eric Tomlinson, and we have Jarrell Adams for $200. They're going to lean heavily on their running game. We also have Bill Snead, placed on injured reserve for the COVID list as well. He's off the list. That might mean more targets for Marquise Brown. That might mean more targets for Des Bryant. That might mean more targets at 2,700 at the captain spot, 1,800 in the flex for Miles Boykin. That's what we have as of right now when I'm recording this video, as well as Duvernay, right? The kick returner / wide receiver, speedster, young kid, awesome, awesome athlete. We'll see if he can turn into some stuff on the field. But again, tough to expect very much offensive efficiency from the Ravens, who have not practiced in a week and playing with their backup quarterback and multiple second string players on this team. Pittsburgh, though, they're fine. So usually I talk about a lot of correlation stuff in showdown videos, and that's still going to be in play for this showdown, clearly. But I think that we can break a couple of the rules that I normally work with. So one of the rules that I do normally work with is that I don't want to have more than one kicker or defense in any lineup. I might allow for a kicker and a defense both from Pittsburgh if that's the route that I want to go. Not that we necessarily need it, because we'll be able to find a lot of value on Baltimore from who's left starting for them down here at the super cheap price range. If you wanted to go with one of their tight ends, if you want to go with a wide receiver, obviously more upside if they're going to be playing 80-90% of snaps than going with a kicker or a defense from either team or both teams, right? Like, the kickers are more expensive and clearly don't have the upside. A kicker will average 7-8 points if a player plays the full game. If they catch one touchdown, if Miles Boykin catches one 40-yard touchdown, that's already 11 points on one play, let alone full PPR, everything else. So, like, there's clearly more upside in any of those tight ends or any of those cheap wide receivers for value. So you can get basically everything you want. I think that what's going to be in vogue on this slate is going to be a lot more 5-1 stacks for Pittsburgh. And I'm probably going to allow some Ben Roethlisberger at captain, maybe more than I normally allow, which is usually about 7 or 8% for a pocket passing quarterback who probably doesn't have very many paths to 35 DraftKings points, 30 to 35 DraftKings points, unless they get themselves some ridiculous 5 touchdown, 450-yard game, which I don't see as the case in this game. I see very little chance for a shootout in this game. This could be a 24-6 sort of outcome. So depending on what story you want to tell for this showdown, it's going to be what it's going to be. So the normal lineups that I build, right? So if I go over to draft or to Fantasy Labs and I come over here to their optimizer and I click on my templates for showdown, as we normally do, I'm not going to allow a kicker, defense, and captain still on this slate. I'm probably going to drop my range of outcomes lower to allow less shuffle in this situation. I'm going to allow a low minimum salary cap, and I'm probably going to adjust these. These are the standard rules that I normally set. So if I'm using a captain quarterback, I have at least 2 of their pass catchers or kicker in one lineup with a captain quarterback with at least 1 of all the offensive players from the opponent's team, because you have to have somebody from the opponent's team. You can only have 5-1 stacks on DraftKings. You can't play all 6 from one team. You have to have a player from both teams on the field for you of the 6 players you choose. If I have a wide receiver captain, exactly 1 quarterback from the same team. Tight end captain, exactly 1 quarterback from the same team. And at most 1 defense and kicker from the same game. I'm probably going to make this 2, and I'm going to build rules that won't allow both of the Ravens kicker and defense, so that if I do get lineups where I get the Steelers kicker and the Steelers defense, will allow for that. So you're going to have to be a little more flexible than we normally are. The things I'm still going to do, if I have Ben Roethlisberger at captain, because you think maybe with all the multiple defensive pieces that are out, they could just rack up the win in the first half, right? It's very possible that they get out to like a 24-3 lead in the first half and then coast for the entire second half. In the case that they do that, and 3 of those touchdowns, all 3 of them, if it's 24-3, come through the air, and he's maybe got 225 yards and 3 touchdowns passing, we want to make sure that we have built a group, or if you're hand building your lineups, we're including basically all of his pass catchers, going to ignore Connor, Connor's the other one who's out. which opens up Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland for Pittsburgh. So this kid's the rookie's more of a pass catching back, Benny Snell more of a hammering back, but they do expect all of their backs to be able to catch the ball at least a little bit, even though they haven't really utilized Snell in the passing game very much. They use him kind of a blunt force object when they get around the goal line, so wouldn't be shocked if they use him that way. Either way, I'm not going to include Snell in my pass catcher group with Ben Roethlisberger. Will include Eric Ebron, as he's been kind of what we expected him to be in this Pittsburgh offense, right? Like, he's getting 5 to 7 targets a week every single week. Doesn't have the best catch percentage because he does run more difficult routes as a tight end, for athletic as he is, and a big target around the goal line, with 4 touchdowns on the season, 3 of them coming in the last 4 games, as Pittsburgh has changed from a run first team to a very pass heavy team with the emergence of Chase Claypool in this offense. So now they've been running 3 wide constantly with Claypool, Deontay Johnson, who has gotten basically 10 plus targets in every single game that he has started and finished, basically not left early with an injury. Deontay Johnson, possibly one of the best values at wide receiver on the whole season on DraftKings. Essentially, you remember when Keenan Allen was like 6,100, 6,200, back to 61, then 63, because DraftKings, the way that they're doing their pricing this year, I have nothing concrete to prove this. This is just my feel. It's anecdotal, based on me playing playing daily fantasy since like 2012 and playing a lot on DraftKings since 2013. Like, the majority of my play has been on DraftKings for the vast majority of my career as a daily fantasy player. They don't seem to be pricing players up in 2020 who don't score touchdowns. Now, I know that this is a showdown slate and it's a little bit different, but on a main slate, Deontay Johnson for the week 13 slate, because week 12 isn't finished, we still have the week 13 slate to come. They were on Sunday for that main slate, and Deontay Johnson's price is like 6,500. There's no reason for that. Deontay Johnson should be 72 to 7,500 on DraftKings, but they're still underpricing him because he just hasn't scored that many touchdowns, and he's got some games where he played, so it ticks off game played, but in those games that he did not finish because of freak injuries, and injuries are certainly anomalies that cannot be predicted, 1.6 DraftKings points, 0.8, 0.9, he pops as a great value play. So Ben Roethlisberger I'm going to include with those. I'm still going to build some Ravens groups as well. Every pass catcher is going to be viable. I'm going to build one group as well with Ben Roethlisberger at captain that's going to include basically every offensive player that is healthy, I suppose. Probably, yeah, I'll include Gus Edwards in that, but I might weight him down. Again, you can build groups in the player models on Fantasy Labs to decrease a player's projection if you want, using all the players that we have. Not going to use the kicker. I will use the kicker on the Steelers for that one. If I'm going to be building Pittsburgh Steelers, most of my lineups are probably going to be 5-1 towards the Steelers if I play this slate, and I assume that I'm going to because it's Wednesday afternoon. Meaning that if I have Deontay Johnson at captain, I'm going to make sure that Ben Roethlisberger is going to be tied to him. Same thing goes for basically every pass catcher on the Steelers. If I have Chase Claypool, Ben Roethlisberger going to be forced into any Chase Claypool captain group. Same with Juju Smith-Schuster. Same with Eric Ebron if you're going to use Eric Ebron as a captain. I don't know if I'm going to be having very many captains from the Ravens on this slate, just because I don't think that they're going to be doing all that much offensively. If you are going to have Robert Griffin III as your captain, you're going to want to tie probably one player to him, not two. You can easily build that in on the optimizer. So if we're going to build at least two, so we're going to say including only, and we're going to make sure that it only has only has Pittsburgh in that group, and then we'll build a second one that says including only the Ravens. We're going to make sure that one player from that grouping is there. This is just a weird game. It's a really weird situation. The fact that we're playing a Wednesday NFL game that is included in the previous week, that is now moved the future week schedule to Monday and Tuesday. I've said this a few times this year. I'll repeat it for the end of this video. If I told you in May that we'd have a football season, that we'd have fantasy football this year, that we'd have an NFL season, but every once in a while we're going to have to be nimble and we'll allow them to like move some games around the schedule, and games might not happen when they were there, and it's going to cause a little bit of waves in your fantasy football league or in daily fantasy just like this one. But they're going to get a season off and we're going to get to watch football and have a little bit of fun and distract from the 2020 realities that have been here and probably way too much at the forefront. I'd say we would have all taken that. That's where we're at. So enjoy the football, take it for what it is. Don't take it too seriously. Have yourselves a great time and best of luck on this crazy Wednesday afternoon single game showdown. Look for another video right here. Bye.
He's a legend.